What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Walker Strumpf and I am a self-taught software developer in the Dallas, Texas area. I create content to help viewers learn how to code through my experience as a self-taught developer. If that interests you, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like that. In this video, I want to share with you my thoughts on the first 3 months of my first job as a software developer. I'll be talking about the things that I struggled with the most and some of the projects that I've started working on. Let's jump into the video. Before starting this job, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I came from a company with around 50,000 employees that was very well structured to a company that only had 300 employees and around 4 developers in the whole organization. This was honestly a huge difference and it took a long time for me to get used to it. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I came from a job in finance where I did the same thing over and over again, and this is a whole different environment of project-based work. And that has been a big plus in my opinion because I enjoy variety in my day-to-day work. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the struggles I had in my first 3 months as a software developer. On day 1, I walked in and got my laptop set up and my coding environment set up and my project set up. Let me tell you, within the first hour of looking at this project and seeing how many lines of code was in this one project, I was completely overwhelmed. And also, I walked in thinking, it's a React job. I'm really hoping that they're using functional components and not using class-based components because I had absolutely zero knowledge of how to use class-based components. So I was really hoping in my mind that they were using functional components. They were using class-based. So just looking at the code itself, it was foreign to me just because I was used to creating functional components. And that definitely overwhelmed me because I didn't really understand how to implement class-based components. It honestly wasn't that big of a struggle. It took me about a week of getting used to it. Also, just with how many lines of code, I was completely overwhelmed. Something I would suggest that helped me was just going through each project that I had set up and just starting the local environment and just using the app end to end and going through the components to see what you were using and look at all the functions that were being called. I think that would be a great way to help you really get into your projects and make sure you understand what's going on. I definitely struggled in the beginning with understanding where some functions were. I remember spending an hour or two on one problem and then asking my boss if he could help me find where the issue's coming from. And he saw an error in the console and he knew exactly where it was. So just really understanding your project and where the code is in the project can really help. And honestly, what's going to help you out the most is just fixing problems in the app and just using it more and more. The more you look at the code, you're going to understand where functions are being called and where issues arise. You'll know where to find them. Another thing I struggled with was the implementation of Redux. So when I was learning Redux, I was using Redux Toolkit to learn it. At my job, they were using an older setup of Redux, which was foreign to me. Even though I understand now how it's implemented in the app, it's definitely a lot different than using Redux Toolkit, which is what I learned. So that was definitely a big struggle. And overall, just the file structure of things in my personal projects, I never really separated functions from the components, but the file structure is definitely not something that's a big deal, but it's something that you have to get used to, how the developers on your team are structuring things. That can be a little bit confusing at first, but it'll take a little bit of time for you to understand where things are located. For instance, when I did my projects, I never really separated my functions into an action.js. I just kept them in the component. In my current company, they have a whole actions.js folder that has literally over 8,000 lines of code, and that's just a bunch of functions. But those are mainly the big things that I struggled with. Honestly, the Redux, it just takes time to get used to how it's being implemented and understanding how it works. And also just diving into your projects and getting assigned projects can really help you understand how the project works and understand where errors are coming from if they do pop up. Ultimately, time was the best thing to help me understand these struggles that I had and to succeed through them. And with the class-based components, one of my first projects was to actually convert all the class-based components into functional-based components. So that was definitely something that helped me understand how to use class-based components and how they differ from functional components. Now I want to talk about some projects that I really enjoyed doing in my first few months as a software developer. So far, my first few months as a software developer, I've done a lot of different projects. The first project I want to bring up is me creating a form that allowed a user to generate a report for our PO system. It's generated it in a PDF form that showed the accounts received, the damaged items, things like that. This was a fun way to use a new tool called Node-RED, something my team had been looking at using for a while. If you don't know what it is, it's a programming tool for wiring together hardware, APIs, or other services. The website provides a great tool that makes it easier to connect nodes. It's just a cool new tool that I was able to get my hands on. You can never go wrong with learning more stuff as a software developer. Another fun project that I got my hands on, our company is a company that sells custom picture frames or custom wrapped canvases or things of that nature, and we deal a lot with images. I was able to use some NPM modules that helped me find the average color, the color palette, and the dominant color of the image. This was something the warehouse workers needed to help them determine which ink cartridges to use. I thought this was a fun way to utilize some new node modules. It was actually really cool because the tools went through every single pixel of the image and would show you what the exact color was of every pixel. It was such a cool tool, and I love learning new things like that. I've done several other projects, but those were the two that I had the most fun with. I'm hoping to do more projects like that in the future. So overall in this video, I wanted to share with you my thoughts on my first 3 months as a software developer. Some of the things I struggled with were Redux, understanding class-based components, and also just the overwhelming amount of code that was in the projects. Some of the ways to get through these struggles is just truly diving deep into the project and making sure you understand how everything works. It will definitely take some time, and if you ever run into any issues that you don't know what to do, just ask a coworker that really understands the project. There's no sense in sitting there for hours upon hours and waiting for the answer to pop into your head when a coworker can really help you out. That's it for the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you want to see more content like this, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.